It's Wednesday night.
The New York Theater Barn
is live!
I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Baby, is this love? I see color for the first time. Finally, I can feel the sunshine. My heart's singing for the first time. Is this love?
Good evening and welcome to New York Theater Barn's New Work Series Live. I'm Joe Barros and I'm the Artistic Director.
And I am Jen Sandler, and I'm the Associate Artistic Director.
Welcome to the first installment of our New Work Series with Joe Biden as President.
Yeah, show them your shirt.
Woo!
Yeah, today is a special day that we will never, ever, ever forget, and we are proud to bring you live theater as we make history. We did it, Joe. We did it. You're going to be the next president of the United States.
We did.
Right?
Joe Biden is the 46th President of the United States.
And Kamala Harris is the 49th Vice President of the United States, the first person of color and the first woman. Never let anyone tell you ever, ever again that there is something you cannot do, because you can do it.
That's right. And today is a day of many Joes. Joe Biden, Joe Barros, Joe Iconis, Rob Rokicki. There's so much love in Hate Nation today.
It's true. This pandemic has been horrible, but this is a beautiful day that we will never, ever, ever forget. But as you guys know, this is New York Theater Barn's New Work Series, and we've been presenting pre-premieres of new musicals during incubation for the past 14 years. And fun fact, Joe and Rob are two of the first writers we ever presented back in 2007, right?
2007 and 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we are excited for tonight to present excerpts from their new shows, Experience Marianas and Love and Hate Nation.
Yes. Experience Marianas is the new musical from Rob Rokicki and Sarah Beth Pfeiffer, and Love and Hate Nation is the new musical from Tony nominee Joe Iconis.
So welcome to the 35th installment of our virtual New Work Series since March. And with all of our virtual programming combined, we have presented 74 new musicals, lifted up the work of 122 writers and over 300 artists. And as always, tonight's broadcast is being simulcast to Broadway On Demand, and we love our friends at Broadway On Demand and thank them for their support.
That's right. And we're proud to keep original live theater alive during this complicated time. Artists and the arts are essential, as was proven by today's inauguration performances by J-Lo, Lady Gaga, Garth Brooks, and Amanda Gorman. And now here to tell us more about how you can support New York Theater Barn is New York Theater Barn's Managing Director, Kate Trammell.
Hi, I'm Kate Trammell, and I'm coming to you from my home in Inwood right here in New York City. I'm New York Theater Barn's Managing Director. I'm also a passionate arts administrator and theater educator. I've recently joined New York Theater Barn's exciting and dynamic team. I'm so proud to be a part of a creative home that makes space for all artists and new groundbreaking musicals during incubation. The New York Theater Barn family is thrilled about tonight's new culture-shifting musicals, Love and Hate Nation and Experience Marianas. The company is proud to lift up the works of Joe Iconis, Rob Rokicki, and Sarah Beth Pfeiffer. New York Theater Barn is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and your gift tonight is tax deductible. Thank you for supporting live theater and the development of original musicals. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Kate. We are thankful for you and the new spirit you are bringing to this company.
That's right. And Joe Iconis is asking it in the private chat if Garth Brooks has a song in Moulin Rouge. I can't. I'm right now, and I can't figure it out. But let's just say the thunder rolls, and we are thrilled to have Kate as a part of our team. Making a gift tonight is easy and fun. Tonight you can quickly donate by text.
Right. The number is 631-710-NYTB. Those last 4 digits are 6982. So it's like American Idol style, like we say every week, and we're aging ourselves, and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be voting for Kelly Clarkson because
I'll be voting for like David Archuleta. Who else would you vote for?
Well, anyway, last week our New Work series featured the new musicals Electric and Our New Town. Here's a clip from our presentation of Emerson May Smith and Murphy Taylor Smith's Electric. Take a look.
Talk to strangers, have them pulled. Try to make your changes take hold. Write down everything, use your voice. Small effective change or revolution, it's a simple choice. If I'm a pacifist at heart, it doesn't mean I haven't seen that our city needs a brand new start.
And a lot of these themes of how do you run a country, how do you run a city, who is best to deal with a person in power who does not have the interests of their people and their state at heart? How do you react to something like that? These are questions that were being asked by Sophocles and Euripides and Aeschylus thousands of years ago. And in our junior year of high school, Emerson came out as transgender and was faced with the reality that there are very few roles for transgender people and non-binary people in musical theater. It is not a medium that has yet really embraced the trans community. We hope to be a part of that change and that embrace. And we stumbled across the idea of doing a Greek tragedy as a musical, really finding like Electra as the character. And we were like, yes, this person as a trans woman is a really interesting twist. And then when her brother returns, everything goes completely wrong. It's the final straw that kind of breaks her belief that anything could ever go right. And she directs this screed towards the god that she thinks has wronged her. Gods, do not mistake me for a lover who's in grief, though that is surely what I am. See me as your child who can finally find relief, waiting for you all to give a damn. Something we've always just felt a lack of is trans stories written by trans people. Seeing a lot of queer stories in general kind of mandated by what society thinks transness and queerness and gayness should look and feel like. I think for both of us there was this feeling of like, well, I just can't. Like, well, it's just not going to happen. Actually, no, that's not it. We are going to be a part of theater. We are going to create things no matter who we are, how we identify, that theater stories should be for everyone and should include everyone. And that's always going to be at the heart of our stories. And I've nothing to explain. I could learn to live like this.
It's true. Tonight is a double feature for Emerson May Smith. Someone said it in the chat.
That's right. And I've been singing those songs all week. It was a really fantastic presentation. Oh, and Jasmine Forsberg just entered the theater. I mean, it's getting hot in here. Oh my Lord.
Love Jasmine. Well, enough about that show. Here's a clip from last week's presentation of Our New Town. Take a look.
We pray, light candles and say never, never again. Then we sleep, then we play, fight new battles anyway. It happens again and again. Just background until it's our time. This is our line in the...
What was tragedy that would befall a young person at the turn of the 20th century? Well, for a young woman, it was to die in childbirth. Now, what is one of the leading causes of death of young people in this country? Gun violence. So indeed, there's an incredible parallel, incredibly sad parallel.
And when we had our son Wilder, he was in bed one night sleeping, and we were reading the news, and there was another shooting that had happened. And that really sparked something in us. And we thought, how can we be proactive about this? Because we don't want our son growing up in this kind of environment. We want this to change. So what can we do as artists? What's our responsibility and stuff? So I wrote down all these shootings and all the dates. And the first thing I wrote down was Columbine in '99. And Gabriel sort of took that and ran with it. And that is one of the first lyrics. That's the first lyric of the song.
Columbine in '99. I'm 2 years old at the time. What a way to start my life.
Vegas takes 58 more. Different day, same old score. But it can't be the same anymore.
And the thought was that, as Howard was describing, our town as this celebration of life because life is so brief. Well, what would Wilder write today if he were living and he were trying to create something around Grover's Corners? He would have to acknowledge gun violence.
Connection, because I think another part of the music is the chemistry between these characters making music together. It's therapeutic, it's cathartic.
What our town does, what our new town does, is it summons.
They never really acknowledge who the shooter is or talk about the shooter or any of his family until this moment in the show. Losing a kid is every parent's worst nightmare, but having a child who becomes a killer, ...
Now I live in the fog of what you did. But all I see is my fair-haired little kid. I want to say you were not my son, but you are mine despite what you have done.
Such a fantastic show, and I should note that we did cancel the show, which was this presentation for both musicals, which was originally scheduled for January 6th, but due to the Capitol siege, we felt that we needed to make space for the conversations that needed to happen, and in order to really lift up and support those musicals, we needed to give them the proper platform to do so. So we delayed things a week, and I'm glad we were able to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad we gave these shows the spot they needed. Oh, hi, Jen Tepper. Well, let's get started with tonight's shows, though. Our first musical tonight is Experience Marianas, which has a book by Rob Rokicki and Sarah Beth Pfeiffer, and music and lyrics by Rob Rokicki.
Experience Marianas is a wild, sapphic rock musical adventure about one woman's journey to escape an oceanic cult. The piece is a high-octane, darkly comedic examination of systems of control and how we struggle to define our identities within them. Set aboard a ship, the show immerses our audience into the Marianas Institute, an aquatic healing center founded by Dr. Davis Daddy Johnson. We are indoctrinated into the group in real time. Informational sessions start off completely plausible, but get progressively wilder and more fantastical, complete with pyramid schemes, sex rituals, sea monsters, and eventually murder.
Wow. And now joining us from their homes here in New York City are the writers of Experience Marianas, Rob Rokicki and Sarah Beth Pfeiffer.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello. What a day.
What a day.
A great day.
We're so happy to have you both here with us. Sarah, you are a writer, actor, and director. You made your Broadway debut as Clarice in The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical, and also played the same role off-Broadway at the Lucille Lortel Theater and in the TheaterWorks USA national tour prior to its Broadway bow. You're also a core member of Marissa Michelson's Constellation Corps and a prolific voiceover artist. We had the privilege of lifting up Marissa's show Tomorrow of the River, so we know how thrilling and exciting the work she's doing. And for those of you who don't know, core is about the core of our soul, but is also referencing choreography and movement and the energy within us. And Marissa works in a really incredible, inventive, and inspired way. So I'm excited that you're working with her. Rob, you were the composer, lyricist, and co-orchestrator of the Broadway musical, The Lightning Thief. The initial off-Broadway adaptation was nominated for a Lucille Lortel Award, an Off-Broadway Alliance, and 3 Drama Desk Awards, including Outstanding Musical, before launching tours across North America. Your musical Monster Songs received a world premiere recording from Broadway Records, was an official selection of NAMT, and has played London and Japan. You're also co-arranging and orchestrating Punk Rock Girl with your friend, frequent collaborator, and fellow guest here tonight, Mr. Joe Iconis.
Who?
You're also one of 5 writing teams involved in an upcoming musical with book writers Jodi Picoult and Tim McDonald. And I'm also one of the directors on that project, collaborating with writers Dan Mertzloff and Kate Leonard. New York Theater Barn had the privilege of getting to lift up Rob's work in 2009. And I was excited about the energy of the songwriting, the rich melodic lines, and the humor that was infused. And to sort of celebrate that and take us back in time, we have a short clip of that presentation. So take a look.
This was a surprise.
I'm scared.
Yes, you're probably wondering what became of me. Yeah, I was the man with a real big plan and a bachelor's degree. June, I should have graduated. Instead, I got hella inebriated. Now I can't qualify for my GRE. Singing.
Like it happens in the movies, guy next girl, and pleasantries are exchanged. Like it happens in the movies, things start out simple, but both of them are changed. And my life all seemed the same, never looked outside the frame to see that there was more. Or reveal you're just an ideal I'm making. Friends tell me you're doing fine, and I trust them after all. Half of them are mine. Say you still jog down by Battery Park. I thought I saw you once, but it was dark. Time takes too much time. It's the waiting. It's the waiting.
I wanna go back, life is awesome, and my cousin science found an answer, make me turn 10. When Nintendo was better, it 64 bits, and I wasn't better, but wasn't their tits. Oh God, I wanna go back,
Oh my God!
Amanda says, oh, that's not what I meant to push. She says, fully on display 2009.
Yeah, I think so. That was a while ago. Oh my gosh, that brings back some
Right.
good memories, y'all.
Maybe more than a snapshot, but we wanted you to really remember where you came from.
Okay.
All right, so let's dive in now that we've had a little fun and we've surprised you. So Rob and Sarah, when did you decide to collaborate together, and what inspired you to want to tell this really interesting story together?
Well, Sarah Beth was in one of the original workshop productions of Lightning Thief. She was in the Minotaur, right? That's what we called our mini first tour.
Yes.
And then you basically...
And then I got cut from it when that shorter version of the Lightning Thief got to have a run off Broadway, and Rob felt bad, so he asked me to come help him workshop a show we just heard songs from. It was called Relativity, now it's called 1111, at a super cool writers retreat called The Pitch, because he needed somebody who could, belt relatively high and
I needed a good dramaturg, and honestly, she had such good insights when we were working together, and I just, I needed somebody who could sing and somebody who could kind of keep my other writing partner and I in check, Mike Ruby and I, to be like, to really like shake up what we were working on that show. And we really did rip that show apart and put it back together. And I'm really proud of how that came out. But yeah, we came fast fans out of that, and then we took a road trip together to Colorado and wanted to find like a project that we both felt really inspired by. I wanted to write a musical about the Rajneeshpuram. This was before the Netflix series had come out, and we both started talking a little bit about cults. And we originally wanted to write a vehicle for ourselves, and then like all things, when you start diving into a project, things just get exponentially bigger, and the world that we created and the rules of, as we were researching different kinds of cults, we suddenly found ourselves wanting to create kind of our own version of what that might look like, and how everyday people, smart people, people from good, family lives and things like that will still end up getting indoctrinated or radicalized. And so that's kind of what the impetus started out with. And we listened to a lot of great different podcasts and did a lot of research over the last couple of years on the show.
Yeah, tell us more about your research to craft something as layered as the show.
Oh man, well, Sarah, my favorite one was Glenn Washington's podcast about Heaven's Gate. I think it's fascinating. And Glenn Washington, who is on NPR, it's interesting because he was born in an evangelical white nationalist church, but his family is black, so it was very interesting to like his perspective. And he had kind of unprecedented access to family members and people who had survived Heaven's Gate. And it's a phenomenal series, so you should watch that if you get a chance, or listen to it if you get a chance. But
yeah, I mean, cults, I think we all have like a deep fascination with cults, right? Once you start researching them, you do start to see that there's there's one pattern that just repeats itself over and over again. And then also, when you go beyond the extreme organizations that you would call cults, you can also kind of see those patterns in other aspects of society, perhaps from pulpits as large as the presidency, and
or as small as your Soul Cycle class, or as,
right, exactly, or any neighborhood church or musical theater college.
Yeah. I feel like we all have a friend that was in a cult in college, whether we want to admit it or not.
Well, that's part of the thing that's been fascinating is as we've done research over a couple of years, and when we were able to do a workshop, some developmental a large workshop at Cap 21 Molloy College, and when we were doing research there were former students, former teachers, and things that had told us about their experience in cults. The more you just thanks, Jeff. The more you do research, the more you interview people. I got to meet people who had left cults or families had been a part of them. The more you find out just how prevalent they are all around us. And Sarah Beth and I were creating like the rules of our kind of our cult aboard this kind of ship, and we made up the most insane things about the leader and these things. And then literally the Nexium cult broke that story, and things that we had made up were absolutely true. things that
Yeah.
you just couldn't even like have predicted, that we were like, we'll fabricate this outlandish thing where like they're branding each other and having these like sex rituals, and it's this hierarchy of power, and they're calling him daddy and like all these things, and you're like, oh yeah, that happened. Absolutely. So it's or like weird things like we pretend, or we said that our guy is a capoeira master, and Keith Raniere, sure enough,
yeah,
he was a judo master, but you know, in middle school. But the lies that kind of the leaders can take on, that the fantasy world that they create, that people that they believe, and then they self-perpetuate, and then people continue to perpetuate, is interesting to us.
So let's talk about the first song we're going to hear tonight.
Yeah. So this song, so I promise you this show is very funny. This show should be funny and upsetting. That's kind of what we like as our kind of
What's your marketing tagline?
Yeah.
We bring up like Little Shop a lot in trying to manage the tone of our show and not let it get too dark while still confronting ideas that are very dark, you know?
Yeah. I feel like some of my favorite shows do that very well. Many of Mr. Iconis' shows do that very well. Shows like Hedwig and the Angry Inch do that very well. So this song is called "We Just Want to Know," and it's from the point of view of the family members.
It's it's a break in the action, sort of, where you get this window, you zoom out and see the world outside of the organization.
And these are actually based on many real interviews of family members that were leaving messages for their loved ones that were still inside. But Sarah Beth and I will be playing all the different family members, just the two of us, you know, down and dirty style.
And here it is.
Since you left, Mom's kept your room the same. Since you left, Mom thinks that she's to blame, and she cleans the clean house like she's scrubbing away some sin.
Did I do something, say something wrong? It's not like we were getting along, but no letter, no nothing situated.
And we just wanna know where you are. Are you eating all right? Do they know all about your diet restrictions? We just wanna know if you're safe. Are they treating you well? Are you happy and loved? Are you still? Since you left, Dad's been drinking out of watering holes. Since you left, Dad's been thinking about damage control. 'Cause he won't let me say your name out loud. Do you need something? Say something more. You're so changed. I don't know who I'm leaving this for.
Are you scared?
Are you mad? Are you just being too damn proud?
And we just wanna know you're okay. Are you making nice friends? Do they know all about
your aversion to chocolate?
We just wanna know if you're safe. Are they treating you well? Are you happy and loved? Are you still alive?
Are you ever coming? Are you ever coming home?
Are you ever coming? Are you ever coming? Are you ever coming home? Are you ever coming? Are you ever coming? Are you ever coming home?
So one thing I just thought about, you're interviewing people to be a part of this show, and you're using the people as characters, or all the characters, compositions of a bunch of people together. I feel like it's always so interesting when you do shows like this where you interview real people.
I mean, a lot of it was based on, it's all loosely based. We're not like taking things verbatim. We're taking obviously artistic license, but it is strange how much things that you see patterns. And this is, Sarah Beth really brings up a lot of these cycles that we see throughout different organizations, and whether that's in religious organization or a multi-level marketing scheme or whatever it happens to be. that's the thing where sometimes the language, sometimes the words that people say when they have this moment of clarity, when they realize they need to leave, or when something's gone too far, those kinds of things, or how they get in the first place. Because I think that's part of the thing that intrigues me is how do people get in the first place?
Yeah, and in the show, you know, we kind of divide our time between sort of like on stage and backstage, if you will. So like the beginning of the show is just the presentation that you would sit in on if you were someone who got a flyer and was like, let me check this place out. You know, that's sort of like audience facing. And then you also get to see sort of like the power struggles that are going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work to keep an organization like this together. I will say this is the weirdest thing that happened is literally yesterday while Sarah and Beth and I were talking about coming on here. One of my former students, she's since graduated, literally texted me that somebody's been emailing her of this Danish organization that are trying to like get her to join them. I'm just like, it's happening every day. She's like, of course I'm not going to go to the meeting, but oh my gosh. They've been like shut down several times online. But it's just,
and I think like the question is it harder to get out or harder to get in? Because I think they're both.
Well, a lot of organizations look for smart people, look for people with money or education, like so that they can provide resources for them, and then they take away your friends and family out of it, so that connectivity, that unity of that organization is all you have. So It's very hard to leave.
And you know, and it's human nature, right, to wonder about, it literally comes down to the meaning of life, right? Like we all have to struggle with that question. And the thing that a cult gives you is the sort of pat, easily digestible answer to that question. You know, it's you're giving over control to someone who's gonna take care of you and give your life meaning, right? And it takes sort of the responsibility off of you. And I think there's something very appealing about that to all of us, right? And caught at the wrong moment with the sort of right message, maybe any of us are capable. And then exactly, it's the system of abuse then ultimately that sort of drags you down and gaslights you and, you know, cuts you off from your friends and family and makes it hard to leave.
So we have people asking where the show's been, where we can see it. So this is a great time to talk about the development of the show. So I know you worked on it with Cap 21. Where else has the show been?
Well, we've done a couple concerts of it, so you can find a lot of the video footage on my YouTube channel, Rob Kiki Music, which I think we'll put up a link later.
Wow.
We're also, I mean, the goal is to make. We always wanted to make a like a recording, like a concept album of the piece. So that's, you know, what we've been really using this time to develop is the sonic landscape of the thing. We use a lot of kind of synthy 80s pop sounds to it, which is really fun to explore. We're going to do hopefully a production, if all goes well, at the University Centre West End in the UK this fall, which is really exciting. I love it over there across the pond, so it'll be really exciting to get to work on it over there.
Yeah.
And it's such a global thing, and it's not just because of what, you know, our country has been going through, and it's really a global thing. And whether a cult of nationalism or supremacy or whatever it might be, it doesn't happen to just be in the United States. It happens everywhere. So I think
absolutely. So what is our second song tonight?
It's called Answers. And it kind of deals with exactly what we were just talking about. It is one of the last songs in the show, and no spoilers, but, you know, shit's gone down. And the main character, his name is SB, who has been leading the cult sort of in Daddy Davis's absence, has sort of had her dark night of the soul moment and realized that what they're doing there is not good, but perhaps that realization comes too late. And so there's action going on stage with all the rest of the cult members, and she's sort of singing this song over top to sort of comment on and narrate that action.
And it's sung by you, so here is Answers.
On your street, in your hometown, they put up posters of missing cats. On your searching for answers. You gave me one. I was searching. I found answers that now I can't outrun. Back on land, there's a postman. He'll take a package out to your town, and your home they will get the letter saying, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy on my way down. I was searching for answers, then I met you. I was searching, I was hoping, look what these answers made us do. The end, the end, the end, the end is now the end, the end, the end, the end is now the end, the end, the end, the end is now the end, the end, the end, the end is now beginning.
Oh, it's Bridget.
One saying they have the chills. I agree.
I love how you talk
Well-
about 80s music, but I also really feel the liturgical music, and I understand why it's there now. And I feel like, you know, you really understand the seduction of music and how music can seduce and how it sort of plays into the way that a cult could seduce somebody.
Mhm.
So we want to credit. I know you have a bunch of your students from Cap 21 that were singing on both songs tonight.
Yeah, so that was Bridget actually just commented. Bridget Doyle, Juliana Conte, Arturo Hernandez, and James Silverstein were singing along with Sarah Beth. A great bunch of students. We had so many great conversations while we were working on the show, and it was really collaborative. And to hear from young people who I think are the most susceptible, because you're finding your identity. You're trying to find who you are in your early, late teens, early 20s. And that's when somebody can offer you direction, guidance, whatever. And it can go awry if you don't have a strong foundation of self. That can get taken away from you.
And we have a bunch of people asking on the chat, can they buy the songs from this show yet? Is there sheet music on your site?
Soon. We're working on it. We got to get this thing. Sarah Beth and I are like finally happy with the script. It takes a while, right?
I know.
It does.
Yep. We did that thing at the beginning of quarantine where you change a huge major plot point, so you pull the string and then the whole thing's just string and you have to, knit it all back together.
But if they check your website, I'm sure eventually, right? I'm putting it up here. Eventually,
Absolutely.
checking.
Yeah. No, I'm really proud of the songs, so I'm excited to hear them. And I promise some of them are a little more upbeat and fun. There are some real fun tunes on there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for sharing the show with us tonight. We can't wait to see more from it and to look forward to a cast album.
Me too. We'll see you guys soon.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So, Jen, if I was in person, I would take one of those little, those machines from The Lightning Thief with the toilet paper, and I would be shooting you with toilet paper. So now it's time to move on to our next show, Love and Hate Nation.
Love and Hate Nation has book, music, and lyrics by my friend Joe Iconis. Set in a 1960s Juvie Hall, Love and Hate Nation tells the story of young delinquents caught between eras of a changing America. 16-year-old Susannah Son is carted off to the National Reformatory for girls to get her head put on straight. There she meets the aggressively incorrigible Sheila Nail, and a relationship forms which leads to an all-out revolution in the institution as they attempt to break out of their box society that is created all around them. Girl group Wall of Sound harmonies are filtered through a punk rock spirit in this rebellious and romantic new musical.
And now joining us from his Manhattan home is the writer of Love and Hate Nation, Joe Iconis.
Hey, friends.
Hello,
Hey.
hello.
Hello.
This chat is crazy tonight.
The chat is gorgeous.
The chat is
I
gorgeous.
popped in myself before, but then I was afraid I was gonna like crash the StreamYard, so I got
Talking
out.
about yogurt, lots of things.
Yeah.
So like I said earlier, there is so much Love and Hate Nation tonight. Joe, I called you the writer who brings together misfit toys yesterday, and I believe that. You are a musical theater writer, composer, and lyricist. You've been nominated for a Tony Award, 4 Drama Desk Awards, 2 Lucille Lortel Awards, 2 Outer Critics Circle Awards, and you're the recipient of an Ed Kleban Award, a Jonathan Larson Award, and a Richard Rogers Award. Wow. You made your Broadway debut with the fan sensation Be More Chill, which has also played London's West End, and prior to Broadway, played off-Broadway after a world premiere at New Jersey's Two River Theater. You're also the co-writer of Broadway Bounty Hunter, of which Jen was a co-producer on off-Broadway. And I love Annie Golden. She's incredible, and I love her I Want song about records. It's fantastic. You're also the writer of the spaghetti western Blood Song of Love, the teenage garage band musical The Black Suits, and the musical comedy Rewrite. Your music also appeared on season 2 of NBC's Smash, including the anthem Broadway Here I Come. You, just like Rob, were also part of New York Theater Barn's Glory Days, as we got to feature you in one of our first new work series in the summer of 2007. We also lifted up your songs and other events early in our company's history with Mandy Gosling and Allison Posner, and we have a short clip to take us back in time to those moments. Take a look.
I toast to cigarettes, and I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, but no one can know. 'Cause I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with the punk rocker named Joe. No, I'm gonna do what I want to when I wanna dye my hair blue. It's gonna look like wonderful, super fantastic, coolness remarkable. Wonderful, super fantastic, coolness remarkable. Wonderful, super fantastic, coolness remarkable, and blue.
I'm gonna scream and shout, knock you out. I'm gonna conquer the world, get the girl. I'm gonna get some respect to finally connect when I take a stand with my rock and roll band.
Lord, I'm awesome, it's almost 1. The internet's down and my homework's done. And I'm sick of brown and it looks like fun. So I'm gonna dye my hair blue. His hair is dirty. And he paints his nails black. He wears dog tags and patches on his knapsack. Yes, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with the punk rocker named Joe.
But that was it. All the other ones were just songs that I wrote. The song about the lonely woman I wrote for my friend Lance just 2 days ago.
Hey, lonely woman, I wanna tell you you're right. And if it's cool with you, maybe I'll hang at your kitchen table tonight. No, I'm not kidding around, I'm not kidding around. I really, really wanna. If you think it's 'cause of pity, you shouldn't. If I didn't wanna be here, I wouldn't. So you can tell your stories and be all weird. I don't mind, I don't mind. Talk about how cats and children disappeared. I don't mind, I don't mind. 'Cause seeing how pathetic you are makes me feel better than I usually do. Oh, lonely woman, I'm glad that I know you.
Oh my God, we both gasped when we saw this yesterday for the first time.
It's insane. Yeah, it like literally it chokes me up to see so many people who are in my life. So
I agree.
yeah.
Well, and I don't mean to upstage this story, but I have to tell you that Sarah Beth Pfeiffer is deep into dinner back there. She's working on the salad right now. She's stirring something on the stove. Now she's waving, and she was just in her refrigerator, and she can't believe that I know this. So you just have to know that. And Joe, it's also really cool to know that your wife was in that footage, and she wasn't even your wife then, or your girlfriend. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that concert was the first time I ever worked with Lauren Marcus, like in a concert setting. Lauren Marcus, who in later years became my wife. And at that concert, I announced that I had a big crush on her, and all of our parents were there to see us at the show. And she was in a relationship at the time. It was like a whole thing. It was a whole. It was like a huge dick move on my part, but I did it. Now I'm right.
Paid off.
Yeah, whatever.
He's in the other room now with your cat. It's okay.
Not only were all your parents there, but all of Long Island was there. I think it was a pretty incredible night. It was pretty packed at the D Lounge.
Long Island comes through.
That's
when the
it.
Hometown Boy plays. Yeah, they'll be there.
So, Joe, my first question is, what led you to create this female-focused musical revolution?
What led me to create it? Well, the sort of origin story, the quick version of the origin story is that I was commissioned by Penn State School of Theater to write a musical for their senior class. This was in 2016, I believe. And the guy who runs the Penn State Musical Theater department is this dude, John Simpkins. He's one of my most beloved collaborators. He's my favorite director in the whole wide world. We've worked together for years and years. And so John runs the musical theater department there, and he had sort of recently taken it over at this point in time. And he started this commissioning program so students would have the experience of developing a new musical. And so his whole thing was like, I want to commission you to write this show. You could write whatever you want. The only thing that the show has to do is it has to be rehearsable by our senior class. And the senior class, I think, was like seven women and one dude. That was the makeup of the class. And so he said, well, besides that, you could write whatever you want. And so I thought about it, and now, so like pause that part of the story. Now we're going to go back. So many years before that, I had written this standalone song for an Iconis and Family show called "I Was a Teenage Delinquent!" ! And the song was only it only existed onto itself. It was total standalone, and it was a love song between two girls. And the scenario was, it was like this love song between two girls in a Juvie Hall for girls in the 60s. And the song was like kind of a girl group song, and it was sung by the great Jenny Donahue and Rachel Lee. And it was just supposed to be this one-off deal. But when we performed it at the Beachman, I thought, oh, this song could be like something bigger. Like there's a musical here, I think. And I got really excited about this idea of a love story between two girls set in this Juvie Hall for girls in the 60s. So that was kind of floating around in my head. And so then when I got this commission in 2016, I thought, oh, maybe this would be a good time to write my Juvie Hall musical, because I have to write something for predominantly women. And so that was like one thing that was sort of floating around in my head. The other thing was that the election was, happening, and then by the time I got the commission had just happened, the 2016 election. And so I wanted to write something that spoke really specifically to what was going on in America today. And I wanted to do that without actually writing something that was about America today. And so it kind of felt like, oh, maybe I could write my 1960s, lesbians in love in a Juvie Hall musical, and have it actually be sort of a sneaky way to talk about what I saw happening in America. And that's kind of how the show was born.
So speaking of the girls in love, we have Amina Faye and Kelly McIntyre joining us tonight. I'm going to bring them on.
Hey.
Yay!
What a surprise.
Hello.
Great to see you both. I've just recently met Amina, and Kelly has been a part of New York Theater Barn's journey as a performer and as a writer. We included her show Leech in the Newark series a few years ago.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the journey of the show. I know Kelly was involved just when it went to Two River, and Amina did it at Penn State and Two River.
Yeah. So the sort of life journey of the show was that we developed it at Penn State, and we did a workshop production that was a student-populated production that starred Amina Faye, and then a year plus later, we did a production at Two River Theater, which is where Be More Chill started, which starred Amina Faye and Kelly McIntyre. Yeah.
And we're going to show a clip from that production, and then we're going to come back and talk more.
Oh, cool.
Been this way since I was a girl in a dress with a frilly bow. Revolution in the institution. Revolution in the institution. Learn to cook, learn to clean, learn to breathe. Skills I do not necessarily need. No. Revolution in the institution. Revolution in the institution. If I'm headed to the battle zone, I don't wanna go alone. See the ground, take it down. Revolution in the institution. Revolution in the institution. Revolution in the institution. Revolution in the institution. Our nation is coming down. It's coming down tonight. Our nation will be erased and be replaced with revolution in the institution.
Oh man.
So tell us more about your journeys with the show, Amina and Kelly. I think Amina's on mute. Oh no.
Oh, classic. Okay.
That.
Go for it, girl.
I knew this would happen. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. Yeah, my journey, I always say I'm so glad that I got to do it twice, because the first time I was a sophomore, this was like my first role at Penn State, and I was so nervous. And not only was it my first role at Penn State, but it was the first time too. There was Joe was in the room with us the whole time, all the time. So it was so nerve-wracking. I remember the first time that we read through the scripts, my hand was like under the table because it was shaking so hard the whole time. So the first time was a blur, but the second time at Two River was honestly amazing. It's such an empowering show. It's honestly an honor as a Black woman to be part of a show where I can have so many colors. I can be quirky. I can fall in love. I can be strong. I can be resilient. I can be weak. I feel like a lot of the times girls who look like me don't get stories like that to be able to tell. And so it's the most empowering thing to be a part of a show that showcases that and lets me be who I am and show all the colors that I have.
What about you, Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, I think Amina's unbelievable, and to be a part of a show that was, made up of like these insanely powerful and impactful and extremely like beyond talented women was definitely a treat. And as we've called Joe, like the writer for Misfit Toys, and kind of giving voices to the voiceless, which I think is a John Simpkins quote. It definitely made me feel super comfortable working on this show, because it was a role that Joe allowed me to run with a little bit and take some creative and vocal liberties and kind of bring some of my personality to the table. And, similarly, it's kind of rare. There's a lot of cookie cutter musical theater roles, and unfortunately, not everyone fits into those. And so to see roles that, have that space is really encouraging. And it was super, super, super fun.
And we love John Simpkins, right?
We love.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll just say too that as the whole the whole sort of thing of like me being this writer who's writing for like the Misfit Toys, I love that, of course, but there's also a part of me that feels like, well, like these people who like we think of as like misfits or sort of off the beaten path, either characters or humans or actors, whatever. It's like I think that it's like when you call them misfits, it also kind of it implies something that's incorrect. Like I think that to me it's like Amina Faye is a leading lady. Like there's nothing misfit about her. There's nothing misfit about Kelly McIntyre. These are leading ladies who they should be the stars of every fucking musical, and it's everyone else's problem that they're not. You know what I mean? It's like there's nothing and so I love being someone who has a reputation of populating musicals with people who you don't normally see playing the roles that they're playing in these musicals. But I think that that you should. I think that musical theater and theater in general would be so much better if it was populated by people who have personalities and people who have charisma and people who don't look like every other person that you normally see starring in a piece of musical theater. And so for me, it's like just talking about these two actors who are on with us now, but the entire cast of Love and Hate Nation, it was such an honor to get to collaborate with these artists on all of these roles, and it goes without saying that I wrote this show that is about so many things. It's a love story first and foremost, and it's about revolution, but it's about women. Every character in the show, except for like our one token white dude, is a woman. This is a show about women. This is a show about every type of person who is not a cis white man, which is what I am, and I cannot help being that. And so I wanted to populate the room and the show with artists who did not have the same life experience as me, and artists who are game to bring their experience to the table. And then I tried to do my best to honor that and to not just like, take what I needed and be like, oh, thank you so much for your experience. And now I'm going to like go over here and filter it through and take what I want from it. But I really felt like every single human who was in that show was a collaborator of mine, and it makes me happy to hear, me and Kelly, you both feel like, oh, that you created that stuff because you did. And as a writer, it's like the greatest gift in the whole world to have artists who are game to do that and who are as brilliant as these two and everyone who did that show.
I love it so much. So what is the first song we're going to see tonight?
The first song we're going to see tonight is a song called "Oh Well," and it's a love song. It's a love song, but the setup is that Susannah Son, who is our heroine, at the top of the show, she arrives at this Juvie Hall, the National Reformatory for Girls, Nation for short, and she's sort of our window into this world. And she gets there, and she's really strange. She's kind of a weirdo, and she doesn't quite fit in anywhere, not even in this place that is made up exclusively of young ladies who do not fit in anywhere. It's like she doesn't even fit in here, and she feels very uncomfortable, and she becomes enraptured with Sheila Nail. And Sheila Nail is just like the coolest chick who's ever lived. She's like a 17-year-old female, James Dean, always wears a black leather jacket. She's just like the coolest, the most badass, the hippest. And so Susannah falls for her. And throughout the whole show, we know that Susannah feels this way about Sheila, but we don't know how Sheila feels about Susannah. This show takes place in 1962. It was, a time, obviously, when you could not say, your feelings about pretty much anything, let alone potentially having a crush on a person of the same sex. And so this song happens late in the first act, and it's the first time we kind of hear the feelings of both of our leading ladies, and it's all internal. That's the important thing to know. They're not saying this to each other. It's completely 100% internal. So we're just getting their internal monologue. Yeah, that's it. Oh well.
Here's Oh Well.
Black as a feather, her black jacket of leather, so thick eyeliner, no I'm nervous that the stuff is on my mind. These thoughts are thoughts so dangerous to think. I can't ignore or leave them behind. 'Cause when I stop thinking about her, then my heart starts to sink. When she's around, it feels like sha-la-la. My brain says nah, 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 but my heart says rah, rah, rah. Hey, a bop, shabop becomes how I express the notions I suppress, emotions I dare not say. Even if I could, I do not think I would have the strength to tell. 'Cause if I tell her what I feel, I don't think that she could deal. So I'll just remain here in my hell. Besides, the world isn't ready for two girls going steady. I'll just keep it to myself. Oh, well. Oh, well. Hair she fixes daily. Her freaky ukulele. She sings to me and I think of birds soaring through the hallways, casting shadows on the dirty floor. I was never one for flowery words, but I guess the way that I feel now I've never felt before. When she's around, it feels like sha-la-la. My brain says nah, 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 but my heart says rah, rah, rah. Hey, a bop-she bop becomes how I express the notions I suppress, emotions I dare not say. But even if I could, I do not think I would have the guts to tell. 'Cause if I tell her what's inside, oh, I know she's gonna hide. I'll be left alone here in my hell. Besides, the world isn't ready for two girls going steady. I'll just keep it to myself. Oh, well. I feel her there. I saw my stare. Now my pulse is going boom, boom, boom. Ksh. My mouth is dry. Attention time. My heart convulsing, going boom, boom, boom. Ksh. If she had a choice, I bet she'd use her voice to say the things that we must be but saying. Or is that all in my head? I put it out of my head. She doesn't know. She doesn't know. I wish I could tell sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la, the things I want to tell her. Like when she's around, it feels like sha-la-la. My brain says nah, 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 but my heart says rah, rah, rah. Hey, a bop becomes how I express the notions I suppress, emotions I dare not say. I guess I could right now, but I would not know how to begin to tell. I'll ignore the nagging sting and pretend it's not a thing. I'll get quiet when I wanna yell. Oh, I don't know if I'm ready for two girls going steady. I'll just keep it to myself. Oh, well, oh, well, oh,
Yay!
We should also note that, I mean, you know, it was extraordinary for them to identify that they were queer during this time, but interracial marriage wasn't legalized until 1967, which should definitely be noted, considering this is 1962.
And like the fact that we're doing this today on Inauguration Day couldn't be more perfect.
I think so. You know, the show takes place in a time. It setting it in 1962 is very intentional because it was right before you know, the the events of like 63, 64, 65, these major events that sort of, you know, rocked the country, that made this idea of revolution, that made this idea of uprising something that people couldn't ignore anymore. You know, so I felt like 1962, for the types of young women who are young women who populate this show, it felt like there was no possibility of revolution. There was no possibility of hope, and it felt like this is the final days of that. You know, and so the idea behind the show is like, what happens when you take all of these characters who have no sense of knowing that, you know, they will have a chance to make their voices heard, who have no example to follow, and you cut them off from society and you put them in this powder keg of a building. What happens when they're sort of left to their own devices? And what happens is they create their own revolution, unaware that a revolution is happening outside the walls. You know, and so that's sort of like the spirit that's in the show, which I think is very much, you know, the spirit that has been sort of rampant in America for the last, you know, I mean, for a long time, but certainly for the last 4 years. You know?
So I have to ask the burning question that's been in this chat a lot tonight. When is a cast recording happening of the show?
Oh my goodness, I don't know, and I want one so badly. I want to do a cast album of Love and Hate Nation. I feel like everyone who did the show, I would imagine, is probably like down to go. We're ready. So as soon as we can get it together, it's going to happen. You know, it's the reasons why I get asked where the Love and Hate Nation cast album is at least 10 times a day by all sorts of different people. Which is so heartening, which is so thrilling, that this show that truly played for 4 weeks in New Jersey, and that was it, during the holidays. So like, people were at fucking Thanksgiving dinner and not seeing a brand new musical. You know, it was like literally during Thanksgiving weekend, we did the show. That so many people care about it, and so many people have been turned on to it. And so I love that, but it also makes me really sad, because I feel like we're ready to go. And so why isn't it happening? And the reasons why it's not happening I think are silly and boring and have to do with the state of musical theater and blah, blah, blah. But the important thing is that I want to do it, and the people who made it want to do it. So let's do it. And I think that people always ask me like how they can help make the album happen. And honestly, I think it's taking to social media and letting everyone know that you want the album to happen, you know. And I think that's you know, telling people like the record companies, you know, the places like Concord, like places that, you know, license shows, and record companies like Ghostlight, who have been so wonderful to me, who've been so amazing. It's not like these places are telling me that I can't make the album. It's just that it's really helpful for these places to understand that there's really a need for the album from human beings. So use social media, use your voice. That's how Be More Chill, you know, was resurrected. That's how Be More Chill got to New York City from its 4-week run in New Jersey. And so I think that's the way. Of course, if there's some like very powerful critic or some tastemaker who also wants to hop on board, who's watching this, if you like the show, like, talk about it and tell everyone that it's a really good show. That'll be great. But if that doesn't happen, just regular human beings, I think will do, and probably be even better.
Well, this is exactly why we created Theater Barn Records, which is a new imprint of Broadway Records. So if there's anybody out there who loves both of these shows, reach out to us, because we would love to fucking record both of them.
Amen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. And also, let's get them on stages. That's the other thing. You know, I want to make an album of Love and Hate Nation so badly that I can taste it. But I want it to be on a stage. It's a musical that I think it's, you know, I think musicals belong on stages, and I want to do it on a stage. I want to film it. I want to be able to, you know, do a nice capture so people don't have to watch a shitty bootleg from an early preview. I want to like do it officially, you know. And so like, let's make it happen. We're ready to go. It's, you know, it's like, I feel like if you want to see a musical where the leading ladies look like our leading ladies and the cast is populated by people who look like actual human beings, let the whole damn world know on social media, and let's make an album. Let's do it on a stage. Let's do the capture, and then the theme park ride.
And your Two River B-roll really did excite us for that. So directed by John Simpkins. So tell us about our second song that we're going to see tonight.
The second song is called Revolution Song, and it's sung by all of the ladies of Hate Nation. And yeah, it kind of speaks for itself. And I'm just going to say the names of all the peeps.
Yeah,
really
a lot of
quickly.
them are on the chat right now.
They're all in the chat. It's the best cast of all time. They're the greatest. We got Jasmine Forsberg, Lena Scale, Sydney Farley, Tatiana Wexler, Lauren Marcus, and the aforementioned Amina and Kelly. And then also our token white dude is Ryan Vana, who's not in this song. I'm sorry, but he was great in the show.
He's in our hearts. It's okay.
It's in our hearts. Everyone think of Ryan Vana while you're watching all of these badass ladies.
Here's a Revolution Song.
I'm supposed to act the way they want me to act, but I don't want to act that way. So, revolution in the institution won't be told whose hand I can hold or which words I'm allowed to say. No, revolution in the institution. If I'm heading to the battle zone, I don't wanna go alone. Take a stand, hold my hand.
Been this way since I was a girl in a dress with a frilly bow. Revolution in the institution. Revolution in the institution. Play with Barbie, they all play
Oh, where'd Kelly go?
I don't
So
know. You kicked. I got like kicked out. I got like kicked out. Anyway,
Kelly got kicked
We're back
out.
now, and someone's dream role is Sheila Nail.
my dream role.
Can we shout out Charlie Rosen and the rest of the team?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Charlie, yeah. So Charlie Rosen did the incredible orchestrations for Lemonade Nation, and those what you heard was just like Charlie and Seth Elliser is the dude playing drums who I work with all the time, and Ian Keggy. You didn't see, but I think he played bass, or I don't know what he did. They produced it, but so that was just them like screwing around. But Charlie Rosen's orchestrations for the show are so out of control, so gorgeous. Yeah, I mean, and also I forgot to say Emerson Smith is also in the show. I realized, yeah.
And Trivia Murphy was also in it at Penn State, so both Smith twins.
Murphy, they're the siblings, those gals, like the most unbelievably talented siblings. But yeah, so Murphy did it at Penn State, and then Emerson did it at Two River, and I'm just like head over heels with the two of them. I feel like if it was literally the 1960s, I would like make a like prime time the comedy for the two of them, of like two sisters like coming to New York and the big city. I just find them like endlessly charming, and they're insane writers too. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. So we have to start finishing up.
You
go, Joe.
Oh, I just want to make sure that we shouted out Jasmine Forsberg.
Yes. I just was going to say, we have to start heading out for our election concert, but we have one more question. Do you feel the show has changed and reshaped? And this is for all of you since this pandemic happened. Do you feel you're thinking about things different than you did before? Do you think things are more important than ever? This is for all three of you.
I mean, the easy answer is yes. Like, I think it feels more timely than ever. You know, I think that the energy of the show is one of a powder keg. You know, like I said before, it's these people who are cut off and cooped up and like ready to explode, and then they do explode. And so I feel like I feel like the next time we do the show, which will hopefully be very soon, people are going to be like, oh, this was so influenced by the pandemic. Like, I just know if we're lucky enough to do it again, it's going to be on like all these like think pieces of like shows that were influenced by the pandemic. And we're just going to be like, no, this is like what it was before. It feels like ridiculously timely now, I think. But am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy.
It's 100% correct. I was thinking like in the thick of quarantine, I was like, if we ever do this again, top of Act 2, wow, I'll know what to like. It's just like, it's crazy. And it's also crazy. It's almost like Joe is like, can be in like two different dimensions. Like, he knew what was going to happen in the future and also what happened in the past. The fact that there's so many parallels, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's kind of wacky. Thanks for saying that I write in multiple dimensions.
Yes. You know, the future. But just listening to those lyrics too, like hate nation will be erased and be replaced with love, I think is like super timely, especially today. Anyways, but for me also, it's just about like how we're moving into a more accepting world, I think. And this show has a lot to do with acceptance and a lot to do with self-acceptance. And I think the way that I've been moving forward as an adult and the way that I see my friends and family and loved ones around me moving forward is to a more accepting place. And so I'm excited for the future of this show because I know it's helped people of all ages kind of accept little parts of themselves that might have been more challenging to embrace before. So that's cool.
Totally. And Amanda Gorman today extraordinary about if our lives, like, I'm butchering this, but if our lives were basically led by love, and that if we everything that was infused with love, we would have a better world. And I think that's what musicals do. So
I agree.
Thank you all for this incredible gift tonight and for your amazing performances and this great story. We can't wait to see what's going to happen next with the show. We can't wait to see an album, a live production, and we can't wait to tell people that it has nothing to do with the pandemic.
It influenced nothing.
Nothing.
We'll see everyone soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's our show for tonight. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Wednesday, February 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with the new musicals Nothing to See Here and The Lesson.
Yes, Nothing to See Here is written by Brian Blasky and Lori Hoffman, who are also NYU alums like Joe. And The Lesson is written by Avi Amon, Nolan Doran, and Ty Defoe.
When you mention the Joe, you have to decide what Joe it is.
Iconis, not Barrow, sorry.
Yeah. Could you have
Not
Biden, Barrows, geez Louise.
I don't think you and Biden went to the NYU graduate musical theater writing program, but sure.
I think you're right. It takes an incredible amount of work to make tonight's show happen. In order to continue to lift up artists and original musicals, we really need your help. So please join our generous donors by making your gift today on our website at nytheaterbarn.org/give. As we said, you can also donate quickly by text at 631-710-NYTB or 631-710-6982. Those details also follow below in the video description.
Again, that link is nytheaterbarn.org/give or 631-710-NYTB, and those last 4 digits are 6982. Thank you for supporting, and Biden Harris, yes. Thank you for supporting live theater tonight and tuning in. And now go watch the inauguration concert that we were all just talking about and have an amazing rest of the day.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm Jeff Calhoun and I'm a theater director. And I can tell you that musicals are a very fragile thing. There has never been a musical in the history of the theater that has gone from page to stage without the proper developmental process. And as the years go on and the expense of putting on a musical gets greater and greater, it's harder and harder to find places where you can actually develop new musicals. If you don't have a huge star or if you don't have marquee value, where do you develop a musical? Well, if you're lucky, you do it at the New York Theater Barn with people like Joe Barrows. I was fortunate enough to work on a musical there, and we did a reading, and we had never heard it before. And what we learned from that reading and the notes we got from Joe were invaluable. I'm telling you, it's a miracle it ever works, and there's nothing more important than the developmental stage of a new musical. And thank God for the New York Theater Barn.